I'm glad you were a little bit late because I don't know if I emotionally would have been ready for you to walk in the door at 11 a.m. I'm finishing the movie at like 10:45.
See, I'm never late. I'm always right on time. For whatever spiritually is correct.
A podcaster is never late.
A podcaster arrives exactly when he intends to. Maybe that's foreshadowing. I think we might be doing Lord of the Rings in December.
So. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I have not watched a single one of those movies. So.
I think we found last year that like there wasn't actually that many Christmas movies we wanted to talk about. So this year, like a lot of people watch Lord of the Rings around Christmas. So
yeah.
Fuck it. Greg's never seen any of them, so he has to be on every episode.
Ooh.
Oh, Lord.
I'm excited about that.
Me too. All right. Well, time to talk movies.
Is that your new? That's
yeah. It's time to talk movies.
It's the new catchphrase.
New month, new catchphrase. You know, you guys know I have a different catchphrase every month. This time, it's time to talk movies. Yeah. So as you know, I don't know how to start the podcast, so it'll either be time to talk movies or something along the lines of welcome to Late to the Movies. My name is Ben Holt. Do I usually do my full name? Yeah. It's Ben Holtz. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Every week, we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have left while you stay by now. This week, the movie kicking off our new month on animation, animated movies, Animumption. I don't know. We haven't come up with a name yet.
Mumptions.
Yeah, Animumption.
Animumption.
That sounds like a person, so...
Sounds like a disease.
Animation month. We'll keep it simple. It doesn't always have to be, but we're kicking it off with Iron Giant. The Iron Giant. Sorry. Not clean. We got to put the back on it. The Iron Giant. Brad Bird's 1999 movie. We'll get into all of it. It's the first time that we're covering a lot of people involved with it that have had interesting careers that we may or may not even touch on because mostly I think we want to talk about the movie. But before we can do that, let's talk about other movies or TV shows or anything fun. Or as we're recording, it isn't Halloween yet, so anything spooky you guys want to talk about is fair game as well.
Oh, we haven't watched Wendell and Wild yet. That's on the docket. But Bodies. Oh, man.
You finally watched it.
Finally watched it.
Was it everything you hoped it would be?
Oh, man. That's going to be a buy. That instantly just skyrocketed up like favorite comfort movies, despite being a whodunit.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I finally made a letterbox, and I think you can only have 4 favorite movies. And so my favorite movies are, as it goes, Mean Girls, House Bunny, Easy A, and then Wolf of Wall Street.
A classic trio.
The classic quad.
A harem of movies.
And I wish that I could add Bodies as a 5th, because I don't know who I would kick off, but...
Classic comfort movie that feels like a panic attack the entire time.
So Wolf of Wall Street is not a comfort movie, but it is probably my favorite movie, just because it's just so good. But, yeah, Bodies is more in line with the other 3 movies. It was so good. I can't get over it.
I know you followed me, so I just followed you back, and it's very funny. I assume this will change over time, but at the moment, you only have given out 5-star ratings.
That's probably true. I think, yeah, because I think it was for the ones that I remembered to do it for.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
Real Mr. Peanut Butter situation going on.
I'm trying to fill it out, and so I have to go through like the movies that I've watched and give them ratings. Give them ratings for the first time, but yeah, I don't know why we never saw Bodies in the movie theater. And then when it finally came out, it was only available to buy for $20. I'm like, I'm going to wait until I can rent it. And I'm going to end up buying it anyway because it was great.
Nice. Yeah, I liked it. Did you figure out what happened before the end?
No.
So
I think it would have been kind of hard too.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I mean, I figured it out, like, as they were presenting it, the way that, like, I'm sure a lot of people figured it out, like, as...
Yeah, and
like,
just in case people haven't watched it, I won't...
Yeah, and I won't
leave this in, But the only thing I could necessarily figure out was like they need to take a big step back.
Yep. It helps that there's a lot of drugs involved.
Yes.
It kind of helps
Lots of drugs
a natural hand wave
That's
for the
true.
whole situation. You have a lot of really paranoid people because people are literally on coke. And it's
they kept saying that Pete Davidson's character, he kept saying he was coked up. He kept saying it. But honestly, I went in completely blind. I had no idea really what the movie was about besides these girls are really mean to each other and they're at a hurricane party. So I had no idea if this was supposed to be like a monster movie slasher. I had no idea if it was one of them just like taking revenge because it was that kind of slasher. And I didn't try to think about it either. Like I was trying to kind of like brain off, just watch and see what happens at the end. So it kind of took me by surprise. And I loved it. I think my initial reaction when I saw like what happened was just shock. And then I just started laughing like real hard.
Yeah, it's top to bottom. It's very good. I really enjoyed it. And I think it rings out a lot of good like comedy with good acting like pretty quickly. Like it like things like a lot of movies, things devolve very quickly, and it takes a lot for me personally to get that whiplash effect on camera. Like you have
because it's a short movie.
Yeah, and you have a lot of people that are going from having a really good time to immediately sobbing, freaking out. You have the picture of like the people that are like, okay, we got to go do this and this, the people who are just sobbing messes and liabilities. I forget the girl that's on drugs a lot. That's like the one who's dating the older dude, Greg.
Man, what's her name? I loved her.
Rachel Sennott.
Yeah, that's it.
Sennott. I'm not sure how
she does. There are characters in film that are just like the worst in their plot devices, in the sense of like making a situation that could be completely calm not calm just because of the way that they're reacting to it, and the way that she acts that out, like just start like screaming and hugging and like the desperation in her voice is just very good. Like I was probably the most impressed by her reactions to things.
She's great. She's most of the comedy of the movie is sort of resting on her shoulders.
I think she got the most critical acclaim for that movie out of all the rest of them.
Even the people who don't like it, well, not to generalize saying everyone, but a lot of negative reviews that I've seen have mentioned that like she works.
Yeah.
Her thing works.
The things that don't work are not her.
Yeah, right. And yeah, great jokes about podcasters in there too.
Oh my God. It's a lot of work.
It is. People don't understand. I have to cancel plans all the time. Potentially. If I had plans, I'd have to cancel. I liked it a lot. Yeah. I did like it. It was a fun time at the movies. That's all I can ask.
That's all you can ask.
I wish I would have seen it in the movies, but I loved it. We're gonna buy it. What else have we seen?
I was gonna say we definitely watched other stuff lately.
That definitely would be a fun one to watch with like a group of people too. And
we had one of your coworkers said that he was having like a UV light Halloween party, and he was describing it, and then I was like, and then y'all are gonna play bodies.
Because you get alone, let's just see what happens.
They're really punching each other though. I'd probably take that part out. If I was playing it in person.
Yeah, that was another part of it that was like weird. Because like I was thinking the number of times that I have been slapped in the face by a friend, I think is one.
I don't think I ever.
It was a real bad time. It wasn't.
Yeah,
it was
not for me.
It was a similar situation where like I was drunk and like I forgot the exact context, but I remember literally telling my friend like slap me in the face like I did. I think I like spilled his drink or something like that, and it was like comeuppance. And yeah, he did it.
Oh my God!
And I fell down. Like he cold caught me. So like that's not fun. I wouldn't want to play that.
Not at all. That doesn't sound fun.
I'm gonna tap out for that, or for movies, because I don't think I have.
Okay.
I don't think I have. I can't think of anything else. I know we've seen other stuff, but I can't.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. Started the new season of Bob's Burgers. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Nice. That's I have plenty to talk about. You'll see why in a second. But first, just to wrap up Spook About Month, as it isn't Halloween yet, I did watch other scary movies. I meant to mention this in the last week's Shudder Spotlight, which we will not be doing now because it's no longer Halloween month. I watched Speak No Evil, which is on Shudder. Believe it's a Danish film, and it's about this couple with a young child that meets a similarly aged couple with a similarly aged young child while on vacation. The main people are Danish. The couple they meet are Dutch. The Dutch people invite them afterwards to like come hang out at their place on like several months later as a getaway, and then stuff gets weird. I liked it, but it's a movie that people were talking about online the way that they talked about Malignant last year and Barbarian this year, where it's just like, oh man, the last half hour is crazy. And those are movies with like huge tonal shifts
Right.
at a certain point. And this one just wasn't. It was just a horror movie the whole time. So it ended, I was like, okay. My expectations were that stuff was going to start getting like really weird or fucked up, and like it's not great for the people involved, but if you know it's a horror movie, I don't know why anyone would have been surprised. And so I think that did the movie and me watching it a disservice. So I think I probably would have liked it more if I didn't have that in my head.
Right.
All of the 20 minutes that we've already done have been preamble to me saying I saw Tar.
How's Kate Blanchett?
She's fucking awesome. She's gonna win another Oscar.
Good for her.
Almost, fucking book it. Tar's awesome. It's one of the only /best/ I don't know if anyone else has really done it. Movies that really feels like this is what it's like to live right now. In the same way that like Social Network was really smart about feeling of the moment so much. Yeah, and it's really good. I don't know. We don't have to talk Tar too much, but I really liked it. Go see it. I feel like I don't know. It's going to get nominated for a bunch of stuff. It might be one of the movies that gets like 9 to 12 nominations and only wins for Kate Blanchett, possibly. But yeah, Kate Blanchett's really, really, really good in it. Tar. If you don't know about Tar, it's Kate Blanchett plays Lydia Tarr. She's like the most famous conductor in the world. She's the permanent conductor of the Berlin Philharmonic. They're about to do Mahler's Fifth, and I know it's very enticing sounding, but it's it's about, I guess, like the genius myth making type of thing and toxic behavior by powerful people and all that.
Is Tar the new Mank?
It's better than Mank. All right, let's talk about Iron Giant. Iron Giant. As always, we have to submit our disclosure forms. What was everyone's relationship with the Iron Giant previous to watching it for this podcast episode?
So I saw it for the first time when I was like really young. I don't remember when. I don't think it was when it was first released, though I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like I might have memory of it because I was 4 when it came out. Definitely saw it multiple times as a kid. I haven't seen it since I was maybe about 10 or so. But I did remember like all of it. So I still had a very clear memory of the movie.
Cool.
I saw it for the first time 2 hours ago. And all I knew about it, I knew the Superman quote. I hadn't thought about it beforehand, but when I heard I Go You Stay, I definitely had heard that and knew it was Iron Giant. Before I went into it, I'm like, the only thing I know is Superman, and I don't know context for it. I just know it's something he says.
You didn't know context for it either.
Also, and the other thing I should say is I knew that it had I knew it was sad. I knew a lot of people were like, because when people go over, oh, here's movies that make everybody cry, everyone said Iron Giant. I was like, well, I don't know why.
Gotcha.
I have to assume it's because something happens to that big giant.
Yeah, some like... It's got to be like probably a Dark Knight Rises situation.
Or they throw the Iron Giant down the well, and he gets adapted to the darkness.
I more meant just the end of Dark
I know
Knight.
what you mean. I was just trying to be a dick.
And then Hogarth sees him at a French cafe years later.
And he nods to him.
Just nods.
Iron Giant's got a girlfriend.
Iron Giant's got a girlfriend.
Dating, he's actually just dating Anne
Hogarth's like,
Hathaway.
I
God.
promised Iron Giant's parents I wouldn't let them die.
I failed you.
I found you, Iron Giant. Anyway.
They're having tea in Iceland.
Yeah.
It's just everything's frozen. Like everybody's cold.
Anyway. I had not seen the Iron Giant before. Also,
Oh, really?
A couple hours ago. So yeah, the
Oh, shit.
Prestige.
There's a
Surprise.
prestige.
Oh damn.
Yeah. So same. I knew those things. Here's a fun question. This is the third movie I've seen that Iron Giant is in. Can you name the other two?
Oh.
Ooh.
Space Jam?
Space
Two?
Jam.
Say the whole name.
Space Jam. The New Legacy.
A New Legacy, but oh yes,
That's right.
he fist bumps King Kong.
That's right. Ugh. Oh man,
Movie's so bad.
so bad.
Very much a character for
Say-
the Iron Giant.
say
Well,
the
he
whole-
has like a cameo in like Futurama or something, doesn't he?
It's not Futurama. It's
Robots?
not robots.
DreamWorks lent them or bought them out.
It's I don't know if you need hints, but it's one of the three letters following DreamWorks. DreamWorks SKG. It's a different movie by S.
Is it AI?
Not
Titan AE, rather? Not AI.
Ready Player One.
Oh,
Oh,
duh.
okay.
Yeah, damn you, S.
That's the one I thought you would get. I
Big
thought
S.
I'd have to.
Big S summer.
I like the idea that it stood for his first name.
Yeah.
Big Steve
DreamWorks.
Summer.
We didn't
Steven.
say Big Spielberg summer. So
Yeah.
who's the just anecdotal? Who's the G? I know who the K
Geffen.
is. Oh, okay. I know K is Katzenberg.
Yeah. I think David, so DreamWorks,
Yeah.
Steven, Jeffrey, and David could have been the. Anyway.
Damn alliterative names.
Yeah. Anyway, so who wants to do a 1 minute plot summary for the Iron Giant?
I'll go.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
All right. So 1950s, big robot lands on in the water and scares a fisherman. Fisherman's going like, "Oh, there's a giant," and everyone's like, "No." And there's a kid who's precocious, and there's a beatnik who's got a squirrel in his pants, and then. Kid goes out to the woods and finds the giant. He saves the giant's life, and the giant recognizes this. And then the giant goes and eats a bunch of metal, and the government guy comes, who's Shooter McGavin. The Shooter McGavin government guy comes, and he's trying to kill the giant. And then giant starts. Turns out giant's kill a robot, but he's nice about it. He learns English kinda, and then he starts getting scared and attacking the town because the military's there. And then the kid's dead, but the kid's not dead, and because the kid's not dead, Giant stops being mad about it, and then Shooter McGavin gives the finger guns, and they fire a nuclear missile at him, and then he's Superman, and he staves it, and he dies, but he doesn't, because he's in Iceland having a good time.
Yeah.
Iron Giant.
Just about a minute. So yeah, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
It was a lot. I don't know if we can do this, but we can try. I feel like every time we do a movie, we immediately jump to the end, and
Yeah.
then Ben has to be like, "Oh, we can just jump around. That'll be fun." I feel like we should try to let's see if we can get this in now. Yeah.
So starting off, I mentioned maybe before we started recording this, or maybe I mentioned it on the recording. This is the first time we've talked about a lot of the people involved. Fittingly, it's Brad Bird's directorial debut.
Mhm.
Brad Bird would go on to do the Incredibles movies, Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol.
Ratatouille.
Yeah. Brad Bird, good at this kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, the first time we've talked about Vin Diesel. That's why I wore this hat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The movies.
The movies. Jennifer Aniston, Harry Connick Jr. I don't know how much he'll come up.
Nah. I looked up who was playing Dean. I was like, "Oh, I wonder who Dean is." I was like, "Oh,
They just made him look like Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah,
too.
it's like, yeah, he's fine. Like exactly what you said. I was just like, I was hoping something to talk about. You did
He's
a
fine.
good job.
He comes up and he's in a decent amount of movies. We might talk about him again sometime. Pete Townsend of The Who.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Who was like, oh, we got to make this a movie, The Iron Man, which is a 60s book.
Yep.
Pete Townsend's like, let's make this into a musical. Brad Bird gets it and goes, actually, it's not that, and I'm going to set it in Maine in the 1950s.
Yep.
Make it very like Atomic Age America.
Yep. And make
Pete's-
it a big allegory.
And according to Wikipedia, Pete Townsend said, who cares? I got paid.
Yep. That sounds like Pete Townsend.
Yep. He won't get fooled again.
No.
So yeah, anyone else? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's other people, but
The kid, I didn't actually notice if the kid did anything after.
I didn't recognize his name. Emmett Walsh is in this.
Yep.
He's also in Blade Runner, so that's someone
There
that
you
we've
go.
talked about before. Yeah, but mostly Brad Bird is this is sort of a calling card for him going forward. As he gets much bigger projects, and obviously a big Atomic Age guy. You can see the mid-century modern shit in The Incredibles, and he did Tomorrowland, which I know didn't really hit, but that's same like aesthetic idea.
Real quick, it is bonkers to me that Tomorrowland came out 7 years ago. I feel like if you would have asked me without me thinking about it, I'd been like, I don't know, like 2018 maybe. Like I hadn't even moved out of my house when that movie came out. Like
Yeah. And this is just weird. Part of the weird. Clooney's in that, right?
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Part of the weird, like, why don't we care about George Clooney movies anymore thing. Currently in a movie in theaters with Julia Roberts.
Yeah. I recently
Anyway.
rewatched the Ocean's movies. They're great. We don't have to talk about them because we have. But
Yeah. He's wonderful in them.
I love-
We will talk about the Ocean's movies at some point. I swear to you.
I love the reference. We watched the signature edition with like the few deleted scenes, and they had to cut out a very small commercial for copyright reasons. But it's funny how he foreshadows that he's going to do Tomorrowland, because there's a very quick commercial that the Iron Giant's hand watches that's an advertisement for Tomorrowland Disney.
Oh, that's fun. I feel like I've watched a lot of movies lately that there's like a kid that's watching a horror movie and then they're in a horror movie.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Halloween movies before. Obviously, the first Halloween is filled with stuff like that. One of the kids is watching, I think, like it's Forbidden Planet. The other kid's watching The Thing, but like the original Thing. And then in the new Halloween, a kid's watching John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, that's so good.
Fun. But yeah, I like that he was watching a horror movie. I feel like talking about the beginning instead of skipping around.
That's still kind of the beginning.
Oh, do we want to do?
We wanted to say if we liked it up front. and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I like this.
It's a masterpiece of an animated movie, and I'm sad that it didn't do well at first. I think it's because Quest or Camelot didn't do well, and that's why this one didn't do well or something like that.
Warner Brothers didn't really promote it because they got burned on
Right,
Quest
that's
for
right.
Camelot.
Which I also liked. I rewatched Quest for Camelot a lot when I was a kid, so that one surprised me too as an adult. That it never did well, but
So yeah, it was a financial flop. So they never made a sequel, which I feel like now is better. It just kind of stands alone. Obviously, it's quickly attracted a big cult following, and I don't even know if you can consider it cult following. It's just sort of part of the animated canon, I feel.
Right.
Yeah. And it's weird, like you take that little group of like maybe like 5 years from like Hercules to Lilo and Stitch. Like obviously there were some hits in there. Like I think Tarzan made good money. I think Shrek definitely made good money. Toy Story 2 made good money.
Shrek was the problem. Shrek ruins animation for everyone else for a generation.
Yeah, but it's so yeah, maybe it's 4 years to Shrek then is a better one than Lilo and Stitch. But it's interesting that like I feel like there's so many like flops in that era because I would have to assume it's like Disney Renaissance is taking off. People are catching up. Like DreamWorks is getting there. Warner Brothers is getting there. Like Warner Brothers has Space Jam before this, and that works. Like, and it feels like the obvious thing to like let's just pump out as many of these animated movies as we can because like baby boomers are having kids now, and like it's the perfect time to scoop and. I feel like it just got, I don't know if it got saturated. I don't know if it got too heavy handed because like you figure Atlantis kind of flops in this time.
Yeah. Well,
Treasure Planet
Disney's
kind
in
of
the
flops.
wilderness basically
Yeah.
between the Golden Age, which ends, I guess, whichever of the Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, which one of those comes out last. And then Hercules, Hunchback of Notre Dame,
Yep.
and stuff. But then by the mid thousands, they're making like Home on the Range. And shit.
But then Bolt comes out and
Yeah,
everything's
so basically until Frozen, I guess, and then it becomes what it is now.
Tangled, maybe? Did Tangled make money?
I think Tangled made
People
money.
like Tangled. I don't remember if it
yeah.
made like big money. But yeah, Frozen was definitely like the new takeoff point, shall we say.
Yeah, and it's been just culturally dominant since.
Yeah, because when we were in high school, I think we talked about this on an old podcast. When we were in high school, it's like Disney made a new animated movie. It was like cool. Like no one's gonna go watch Meet the Robinsons. Like
Right. Yeah.
That's a bad example because I feel like when I was in high school, I mean, I know it was
the age
later,
different.
but
This is worth. Yeah, that's worth
when I
talking
was in
about.
high school, like there were new Disney movies were still the new Disney movie. Meet the Robinsons was not good, so that's a bad example.
Well, that's what I meant.
That's a mean example.
Like you were saying, Home on the Range, Chicken Little. Like people weren't watching these. People didn't
Yeah.
care. Like they weren't relevant.
Oh,
Now
those are
Disney.
Always weird when
old, though.
Chicken Little shows up in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, voiced by Zach Burley. Actually
Well,
bothered to
yeah.
get Zach.
He had
Braff for
nothing
that.
going on.
Yeah,
So yeah, good movie is what we're saying.
yeah, definitely good movie.
And we haven't mentioned this is set in Maine in the
Set in Maine.
1950s. Best movie set in Maine.
Ooh.
So this or The Lighthouse or any Stephen King adaptation?
I was gonna say there's got to be a Stephen King movie that beats Misery is Maine. I think.
Probably.
I
Kathy
might like
Bates
this
seems
more
like a
than
normal
Misery, to be
Maine
honest,
person.
but it's a real apples to oranges situation.
Yeah. So the movie starts, and I feel like if I had watched this at the time, as instead of a 31-year-old as an 8-year-old,
Yep.
I feel like the first 10 minutes pretty scary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you didn't go in knowing that the giant was
Cool.
a good. Yeah. Like you might think that this is a movie about a kid running away from a scary giant. Like.
Yeah. It has basically the same opening as Pacific Rim,
Yep.
and then you're
The Pacific Rim really ripped that off. I didn't think about that.
pretty much kind of. Come on, Guillermo.
Come on, Guillermo. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
You're
and
not creative at all.
I bet he loves this movie.
If
Actually,
you saw the trailer as a kid, at least you'd know because like I know when I was younger, I saw new movies because I saw trailers that were like the classic like narrator.
well,
like,
we didn't have
Don-
YouTube.
Well,
Don-
no, before like other movies,
Yeah,
like
I
on
know. I'm
going to
VHSs
watch-
and stuff.
I'm going in to watch Hercules and Don Fontaine. Is it Font or La Fontaine? I forget the voice guy's
Something like
name
that.
that did everything.
I think it's
Just
La
coming into
Fontaine.
this movie. Like he's got
Yes,
his happy
exactly.
voice on, like,
Exactly.
it's not like you're going, this summer, the Iron Giant is here.
Exactly.
And he's built to kill because he's a gun.
Yeah, basically that opening sequence through when he's like screaming and being electrocuted. Pretty scary stuff. I
Yeah.
feel like if you're a kid, and then the giant's cool.
And they chill it down. I do like the way that they work with language, where at first he's just basically screaming in robot like gear noises, and then
Yeah,
like gradually
it becomes more and more Vin Diesel
Yeah.
as
Right.
it goes on.
he gets a family, so he turns into Diesel.
God damn it.
Oh man, if he had toasted Hogarth with a Corona and said like you'll
he's
always
fly-
be mi familia.
He's flying off into space, and he just like looks over at Hogarth, just gives him a nod, and then Hogarth
Says family instead of Superman. Oh god.
Oh god, yeah, and they split off down different roads.
They're just playing that John Legend song.
Ooh,
Oh wait, no, it's not John Legend. It's Wiz Khalifa.
yes,
yes, I think,
yeah,
yeah.
it was.
Gosh. Thanks for ruining the movie.
No, we gotta
right.
YouTube
See,
that.
that's it. We talked about the beginning for 5 seconds,
We haven't. We're just teasing. We're just teasing the ending.
and then we went right to the ending.
So another thing at the beginning.
Hogarth names his kids Brian. Lil B.
LB.
Fuck.
I love the part. This is still kind of. I guess it's not super beginning. I love after the electrocution scene. Just that the giant just starts biting metal everywhere. It's just so like you land there. I think everything. Actually, no. If we're not going to jump around, we need to talk about the squirrel pants scene first.
Oh my
now that I
god, the
think
squirrel
about it.
pants scene is very funny.
Yeah. So we established that Hogarth is a loner with no friends who likes weird things. even though he seems like a cool kid who's just into like nerdier stuff, but it's the 50s, so that's not like mainstream.
And he also skipped a grade, so he's younger than everyone else.
Yeah. So he's like getting picked on. He doesn't have a lot of friends, but it establishes that he, looking to find a friend, right? So he's basically just putting wild animals in boxes and being like, "This is my friend now." He brings it to his mom's work, Jennifer Aniston, who works in a diner. And he, has no control over this squirrel. And it runs up Harry Connick Jr.'s pants.
And then I do love the line, "Everybody, I'm sorry for what's about to happen." And then you hear the zipper sound, which is like really good adult humor in a kid's movie.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, and I like they play with like, this is, a real hep cat. He seems like super cool, and then the mom comes over and he immediately starts acting really weird, and you're like,
he's just bad with women.
Yeah, he's bad with women or something. And then the reveal that he's got the squirrel up his
pants. Jennifer Aniston at this point typecasted as a coffee server.
Yes. Yeah, 99. So this is right in the middle of when she's, they're not quite getting like $1 million an episode yet, but they're right at the cultural peak of Friends.
Probably getting like $500K an episode. They've already gotten renewed, I think. It's like the 5th season, probably. So.
Yeah, 94 first Friends.
Yeah, some of those
or 95. We talked about, because we did Scream last week. So we talked about Courtney Cox, and in 96, I think we said was 2 years after Friends. So yeah. So she is getting tons of money.
People know who she is. People are maybe even going to see this because she's in it, even if she's just a voice.
Right, yeah. And that squirrel gets out.
Yep, that squirrel gets out and causes a commotion.
And his mom has to stay late at work, and this is when he first meets the giant.
Yep. Jants it up. So yeah, he goes and saves the giant with a comically labeled on-off switch for the entire oh god, I really hope no one leans on this on-off switch for this entire power station.
It is a little convenient.
Yep. There's big words in red, off.
I don't know about that.
Yep. But yeah, it saves him, and then it's kind of, I did say, and this is not there's nothing about this movie I truly hate, but it is just fun to point out the things that aren't hand waved, like the fact that the giant knows that he needs to be elusive. Like, he's not just there's sometimes where he's just standing there, might as well just be doing the Forrest Gump wave, like to people, like not paying attention. And there's other times where he's like crouching down in the woods, like reaching out and grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
But they get the picture of him. I was joking with Bree while we were watching it. I really like when Hogarth goes back out with the little scrap metal, like to get to lure him out as bait, and I'm like, that is like an after dinnerman for this dude. Like, this dude is taking giant bites out of tractors.
He's eating cars in one bite. Yeah,
and you got some sheet metal that like probably came off the side of like of the road. I don't know.
He's wildly underestimating. So around then is when the government guy gets involved, Kent Mansley.
Yep. Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, Shooter McGavin. Real name what? Christopher McDonald.
Christopher McDonald.
And one of the other things that I knew about this movie, all the stuff that you like just culturally knew about, same. And then I think every now and then I've seen posted online his delivery when he realizes his car's been half bitten.
Oh yeah.
When he's getting in his car and
he says something. It was like
I think the biggest thing in this town is probably the homecoming crowd. Oh my god! And I can't do it justice because it's like
whole asses this role, and it's great.
Yeah, well, he loves being this kind of shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's amazing that this guy. I mean, he kind of takes everything at this point. To be honest, like
don't stop taking digs at the Gabriel Iglesias show.
No. I will take shots at the Gabriel. So that's not even the problem. The Gabriel Iglesias show is good.
Wait, how did we get here? I stopped paying attention for 5 seconds.
I was building towards it. But so Christopher McDonald's on the Gabriel Iglesias show. He's the gym teacher, but he's like 7th
football
build.
Coach.
Yeah, our football coach. Yeah. He's like 7th build bit piece where he basically just comes in as a cantankerous football coach and then leaves, and that's his whole role. And it's just like the fact that like 30 years ago he's like the main antagonist in an Adam Sandler movie to like this, but he will still have everything in, like he will do everything in between as long as he can go on camera and be a giant jackass.
Yep.
Like just classic fuck bucket Christopher McDonald coming in to just be
All
be
the
a
talk
tool
about
bag.
guns, I was thinking about the guy in Happy Gilmore with like the shirt.
Oh
that
yeah,
says, "Guns don't kill people. I kill people."
I kill people. Yeah.
Yep. Impossible not to think about that. Similar ending too,
Yep.
I guess. So the animation style in this is one that I really love that only existed for maybe like a decade.
Yeah.
The hand-drawn animation with the light CGI touches that I think first used in the opening of Beauty and the Beast and through like, I don't know, early thousands, like Treasure Planet, I guess, is when they were still using like the hand-drawn CGI sort of meshing. And it's really great. I always feel like it feels like a pop-up book almost because you have like almost like stage props that sort of move in layers as the perspective changes.
I was saying early on with the sequence where Hogarth is going out basically looking for essentially looking for the giant. He doesn't know it's the giant yet, but he just hears noise and his
with the
antenna's
BB
gone.
gun.
Yeah. And he's flashing his light on clearly hand-drawn still framed trees. Like they are not trees that are meant to animate, they're not trees that are meant to move, but inherently they have to change because the light is hitting them. And I was sitting there racking my brain like, I'm not trying to be like dense. I was like, I don't remember a lot of movies that specifically, like when there's a flashlight on the movie, it's usually they just animate the light coming out of it, but it doesn't land on it. Maybe it lands on another character. They're not really pointing it to the background, and he's flipping that thing around. It glares into the camera, and it was one of those things that was just like, yeah, today obviously that's not neat, but like looking at a movie like that, I wasn't expecting it, so it's kind of like, oh, that's cool. Like
the effect is neat though, how it layers over like still drawings. But yeah, I brought that up. I liked that era of animation where they had the little bits of CGI for like really important things, like the giant in this movie had it. In Atlantis, lots of the machinery had it because it was supposed to be like futuristic tech. I noticed it when I was watching the trailer for Sinbad. The monsters had it. I think Hercules, the Hydra had it. Stuff like that where it feels like a pop-up book. It's such a good layering of animation that makes it really stand out.
It does make me think of like the original uses of CGI as more of a, we'll do everything we possibly can, and then at the
exactly
in Jurassic Park where, okay, if we're doing a full body shot of a dinosaur in motion, it has to be CGI. But we'll do practical for close-ups on face, claws, whatever.
Right.
We'll make puppets. But if you see the full body of the T-Rex, it has to be CGI. Not just like,
I do miss
what
that.
we're in today, where everything's just CGI.
Even backgrounds.
We're in a world now where we've all seen the trailer for the new Ant-Man movie that just
that was
looks
so
like
bad.
it just looks like Spy Kids.
Yeah, it's just all green screen.
It's just whatever. We don't have to get into specifically that, but just aesthetically, like that's the biggest movies are now made in small conference rooms with so
boring.
Just in one room in Atlanta, the last like 20 Marvel movies are entirely shot there. So anyway, so I just all to try and keep it positive. That's just it looks awesome. I feel like it looks really cool.
And I just to go back to Christopher McDonald for a minute, I think they just do a really good job. Like there have been a lot of movies, especially up to this point, like E.T. is kind of similar, where it's just like the government's the bad guy, and it's a delicate balance behind having the bad guy just be a anonymous force that's evil. So like you think like I don't know, this is a movie podcast, not a video game podcast, but you think like the Half-Life series, especially early on, where it's just like the military is trying to kill you. There's no figurehead of the military. You're just running into soldiers and they're trying to kill you because you figured out something you shouldn't have and you need to die because safety of America is at stake. It's nice to not only give that figurehead, but almost like show the emotion of like why, like he is so paranoid and he is so narcissistic that there is no other thing that can come out of like he can't go anywhere else in his brain. Like it is like this thing needs to die because I'm saving America and there's nothing in between. Like the enemy is both narcissism and jingoism somehow in the same time, which is good for the theme of the movie.
And it kind of can have its cake and eat it too, as far as like not getting in trouble with the actual government and military, because They make a pretty clear point that it's just this guy.
It's just this
Yeah.
guy.
His
They
bosses
cut it
like
a
don't
little bit.
really believe him.
Yeah.
And they can listen to reason and be like, okay, well, don't shoot that thing.
Yeah.
It seems to not
Right.
be
Yeah.
It's
attacking
friendly.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just this fucking guy in
He
particular.
is a real piece of shit.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, like fuck the country, like I'm
Yeah.
saving me," and then
Yeah.
tries to drive away.
History's
So
greatest
they,
monster.
Yeah.
Kent, whatever his name is.
Mansley.
yeah, they make it a very clear point at the end. It's like, "Oh, it's not the government. Yeah, it's this guy that's
It's this
just
guy.
selfish."
Everybody knows the U.S.
drops the
government
guys.
is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he drops
We
the
made-
guys
he's a
that's for
pansy.
the
They,
government.
they
Yeah.
made one bad hire. They hired this Mansley, Kent
Yeah.
Manley. He
But
lied
yeah.
about his name.
He's appointed as the patsy for this whole thing.
But yeah, I think so. Getting into kind of the like advancing a little bit, I kind of wanted to talk about the this maybe is too far, so sorry if I went too far, but the Iron Giant fake statue.
Pump the brakes.
okay,
We're not there. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
Go for it.
but I just the fact that they have the whole military looking for he finally proves it because Kent Manley's got the picture. They do almost like a Benny Hill thing going around, and finally Kent Mansley, whatever his name is, Kent gets the stuff, and he's like, we got it, I'm calling it in. And then they come, and Harry Connick Jr. has managed to just throw some crap on the robot, and then the entire U.S. military sees this robot and goes, it's just a sculpture. He's just been moving this giant sculpture around, and everything's fine. Let's wrap it up. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, and also you're fired.
Well, they don't have proof of because the general said it when he was on the phone. Like they don't have proof that this robot is what's like taking the bites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so just seeing what looks like a sculpture sitting, they're not going to believe that's what did it. So the general still at that point didn't believe there was a giant metal monster going around.
Yeah.
So it's still a little like incredulous, but it's still really funny that I mean, it helps that like the scrapyard is called like junkyard and art, like whatever. So you see all these sculptures all around. So it's like, it's just another sculpture.
Mm-hmm. He's a cool guy. He runs a scrapyard, makes metal arts.
Yep. He's a beatnik, as he's
a beatnik. Yeah. He's a beatnik. Loves stuff. I don't fucking
He
know.
loves scrap
Loves
metal and
Loves
art.
scrap metal.
I also love, this
links
is a
to
little
Hughes.
earlier, I love when Iron Giant eats the art piece like a shish kebab,
Yep.
even though he doesn't know what a shish kebab is. But
Yep.
he's still like,
And then just
"Ooh,"
eats the
and then
stick
just
anyway.
eats the stick.
Every cartoon knows how to eat food like that.
Yep.
Yes.
Just inherent, just instinctual upon their creation. That's what they want to do.
Love that he just chucks that car.
Yeah, he just eats it. Into we don't know where it lands. We never
Don't
got-
know where it lands. Probably on a person.
Yep.
Oh God.
What a way to go.
A lot of fish death in this movie too. He cannonballs in a
like-
lake at one point.
I do like Harry Connick Jr. just wet on a chair in the middle
Oh
of the
my
road. The guy's
God.
like, "You're in the middle of the road." He just goes, "Yeah."
And the guy's like,
All right.
all
All right.
See ya.
You're not blocking my way.
Yeah.
Oh God, I
Good
love
movie.
that character.
Yeah,
It's a good movie.
it's a good movie.
I like the part where he flies around. That is much later, but
He remembers that he can fly.
Weirdly, so I also knew Iron Giant could fly from something. I don't know. Like if you would have asked me before the movie, can Iron Giant fly? I would have been like, yes, I'm pretty sure I've seen him
yeah.
Superman posing or something. But then like the entire movie happened and he's not flying around, and I'm just like, cool. What, like not thinking about that at all. And then he starts flying. We go, oh, that's right, he can fly. And it just like, it's such a great thing. Like it's a little I don't know if Deus Ex Machina is the right word for it, but like he's falling off a cliff. Like it's kind of like a weird thing to be like, how are they gonna get out of this one? Oh, he can just fly and it's fine. But it's a great way to introduce that he can fly.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really,
Hogarth's going off.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Hogarth
cool.
weirdly okay with being lifted 100 feet in the air instantaneously by something that's never held a human before. Like I know he's a
9,
kid.
Yeah.
Like I know his brain don't work that well because he's a kid. But like when he was like, oh, lift me up, I literally said to her, I was like, no. oh, I would have pooped my pants.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quick. I mean, like, you don't feel it when you're in an elevator, right? It's
You're going that fast, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, no, it's really high up there, that robot. Yeah, so I keep thinking, where's a fun way to bring the conversation? Do we think this guy knows Asimov's rules of robotics? That'd be fun, right? Anyway.
Classic Isaac Asimov conversation.
Classic Asimov convo. Yeah, so I think Hogarth's a weird name for a kid.
Yep.
That was brought up. Yep.
No one called him Hoagie? Did anyone call him Hoagie once?
I don't think
Everyone
so,
says
no.
Hogarth the whole time.
Yep.
And I was expecting
Hug,
there.
or hug. Hog hug.
I was taking notes at the time, so I might have missed it. But is there ever like a reference to like, oh, it's a family name or?
No, I think it really just comes down to Ken Manley just saying it's a stupid name.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
it's
He's right. He's like, who
Yeah.
would name a kid that? He's right.
They really wanted to write Hog Hug on a gun.
Hog Hug.
And they didn't know how to
Wait a
name him
second.
anything.
Hog.
They don't explain what happens to his dad. There is a picture of seemingly like a fighter pilot because he has the fighter pilot helmet.
Yeah,
I think that's the
I
quick hand
assume,
wave is
yeah.
that his dad was a pilot and died somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's why? I feel like they should have at least Brad Bird needs to
Give me
answer.
something.
Yeah.
All right, let's get Brad on the phone.
Was he named that in the original story? We might not know.
We might not know. Yeah, maybe it's just like
'Cause I definitely haven't looked up the original story. I didn't know there was an original story until the credits started rolling, and they were like based on Iron Man,
yeah,
the Ozzy Osbourne song.
right. Probably yeah. I think this movie. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it would have been a good one to have watched when I was younger.
So there's
Would have made me really, really not ever use nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
For sure. I'd be very against personally using nuclear weapons.
yes, and gun. That's what I said to her, where he's like with a scene with the deer, and he's like, "Guns are bad" or whatever. And I'm
Guns
like,
kill.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, guns. It's like very subtle. Brad Bird, getting your message across.
That's fine.
I was like, and then millions of like Southern dads usher their kids out of the
Right,
movie
yeah.
theater.
Guns are bad. Guns bad. And it's interesting too because I feel like Brad Bird's been accused of being somewhat conservative in a lot of his movies, and that obviously doesn't line
He's
up.
very
with-
pro rat cooks, and that's bad.
Hogarth is the name of the original kid in the book.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he's off the hook for that one at least.
I think the Kent Mansley character is new
Mm,
for the movie.
for the movie.
So it does seem like
So he's
well,
shuffling it
we're
more
so-
anti-government.
Well, yeah, but I was gonna say you're stuck with Hogarth as a name for the kid, so he added a whole character so he could have a character say it's a stupid name.
This is stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Pete Townsend wanted it to be a musical.
yeah. That I mean, you would have. I feel like you would have had to change the tone.
Yeah.
That's the
Not
tone.
make it in the Cold War.
The tone's almost kind of like Land Before Time-ish, where it's like poignant, like and never really fully happy. Like there's no
Yeah.
a lot of the whimsy is kind of like that like never-ending story, like flying through the air whimsy, not
Yeah.
necessarily
Mhm.
like actual like flying carpet Aladdin whimsy.
It feels fragile.
Yeah,
To me.
very fragile.
I think I don't know, and I don't know if I would have picked up on this as a kid, and I don't know if it would make it more or less effective, but I mean, you know the whole time that this isn't going to
end well.
this
yeah.
isn't a long-term thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It made me think. I was thinking a lot about Pete's Dragon while I was watching it,
Mhm.
Especially the David Lowery live action Pete's Dragon, because that's also set and very much about like a logging town. I think that's like the Pacific Northwest, but
Yeah.
similar idea. And it's, a lot of sneaking around pine trees and shit. But yeah, it's the whole time you're just thinking like, oh, okay, this is the good times, and it's gonna go bad.
Yep. And you're hoping that the ending is like him like helping people across like the river.
Right,
you know,
yeah.
like,
Right.
like, oh, it's the
Like a part of the
neighborhood-
community now, yeah.
It's the neighborhood friendly Iron Giant who just eats people to work every day.
And it basically, it's going like that. He saves those kids, and everyone's like, "This Iron Giant's cool,"
yeah.
Yeah.
and it's just bad timing.
Bad time because all the military's there.
I do like Jennifer Aniston's delivery on, hey, kid, the whole army's in the front yard. And she says it like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
If I want to pick on Jennifer Aniston for a minute, my least favorite delivery is the one where like the Iron Giant's in like the sky with fighter jets shooting at him and her son, and then she sees the Iron Giant falling out of the sky having been shot down, and her delivery of her son's almost certain imminent death is just no.
Come on. Come on. Yeah.
Damn. It is a little more desperate than that, but it's not desperate enough. It just kind of seems like her favorite sports team lost. Not
God.
Not that her son's about to die. Her only son to a single mom.
God.
Yeah. No, she should be a little more distraught. I agree.
That was more just something I thought. I didn't say anything in the moment. Like, doesn't make it a bad movie. It's just like, that was the only line read you had on that one. Okay. It's also a kid's movie. You don't want things to be too, you don't want things to be too emotional, but they certainly bashed that glass.
Yeah, I'm about to say that's definitely not the reason why.
Yeah, in the scene with the deer, if we can jump back I guess we're still talking about that. But the scene with the deer, like I remember that got done. I was like, boy, parents must have hated responding to that back in the day. If you had a 5-year-old in that room, like, it's a bad way to find out death's real.
Yeah, and then the giant has an existential crisis.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's told he has a soul.
Yep.
And he's told about death.
The way that robots should be told they have souls.
Yeah.
With imminent death like attached to it.
Yeah. And then in that, because Blank Check's doing Kubrick, watching along with that series, I watched 2001 recently, so I was thinking about Hal in 2001.
Yep.
And like, what it means that Hal dies and is killed. And does it matter that it's man-made or artificial, whatever? If it thinks it has emotions, it does, right?
Which is,
difference.
Again, to quickly step over to Mass Effect, or just step over to video games for a second. In Mass Effect, that's like part of I know it's a side plot, it's not the main plot, but like the whole thing about an organic species creates a synthetic species, but the synthetic species has emotions about it. And like, does that make them any less alive than anything else? And that's like,
right. Yeah.
And it's essentially in less words going over the same thing in a kid's movie in the middle of the kids movie.
It's the whole thing. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that they went there. It's important to go there because you need it. It's actually extremely smart because you need the giant to understand immediately that he can kill things and he shouldn't, that he can die and he doesn't want that, everything else can die and he doesn't want that even more.
Yeah.
And that he needs to know this so that his sacrifice later has more impact. Because if he's just a machine, the end of that movie is kind of whatever. But the fact that they've had that scene, as much as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old has no idea what's going on, like, it's almost weirdly for the adults in the room. Like, I'm sure there were a lot of people who were watching the Iron Giant, and the kid was just kind of like, Dad, like, or Mom, Dad, the robot's still alive. Why are you guys crying? And they're just like, oh, God, like, 'cause it's not even that. It's irregardless of like what happens at the end. It's the fact that he knows what he's doing.
Right. Yeah. He makes a choice.
Yeah.
It's that's what he hears Hogarth saying in his head. Right.
Yeah.
It's what you decide to be.
I was already, I guess.
And then he says Superman and he blows up.
Yeah.
So good.
So just to break down the ending in a sense of how much I was crying, like the best way to go over the ending, the ending plot for those of you who have not seen this recently nor ever and are spoiling it for yourselves both in this podcast.
Yeah, you made it about an hour.
Yeah, the ending,
your own fault.
The ending is like is basically because Kent Manley's a huge douche turd. After the general has already agreed, like, yeah, we're standing down, like this thing's just defensive, like it's fine. Screams that the very cool, like, is there any submarine in anything that can't be called Nautilus? I love Nautilus, but it's just
Nautilus
funny
is good,
that, but the Nautilus fires a nuclear missile on the town, And the whole town just kind of instantly is just like, yep, all right, this is happening.
Pack it in.
I do like that they had the let's duck and cover, and everyone's like, that doesn't fucking work. Like, no one expected. That's just what we tell the little kids so they're not scared. Like,
Yeah.
they're
like, well, let's go into like the fallout shelter or whatever, and everyone goes, it wouldn't matter.
It wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not gonna matter.
Not gonna matter.
Like, just stay here and get hit. If anything, just get hit clean.
It's like obviously not built for a direct hit
Yeah.
in this small town. Yeah.
But so that's happening, and like, as somebody who has seen this movie, like watching this movie for the first time, but kind of knowing what's gonna happen, it's just crazy that you just see like the giant, like, look, it clicks in his head, like, all right, I gotta go do, like, I'm the only one that can do this. I gotta go do this. And so he says I think he says Superman on the ground too, right? Or does he only say it?
No, he
in
says
the
it
air?
when
he only
about
says it in the air. Because he's got the Superman S on his chest already from earlier, which is like,
No, he dropped it, didn't
does he drop?
Yeah, because he runs away when he accidentally
when he's wandering through
defensively
the
shoots.
snow.
Oh, that's
He
right.
drops
Yeah,
it.
he drops it, which is also very sad. I think I started tearing up there.
Yeah. But so he says, like, I go, you stay. So like, I wasn't prepped to cry, I guess. Like, there's some movies you watch where you know the ending's going to be sad, or it's building to a sad ending. Like, I kind of knew this was a sad ending. I didn't know it was going to be this sad. I think similarly Titanic, which we've talked about, which has the emotional, like, knockout montage of like, oh, here's all the people that are accepting their fate, like, together on the boat, and it's extremely
The band,
sad.
like,
And the band play, like, the here's where you cry moment, you know, when we move on to some dude getting propellered. So I'm sitting there crying at that, and he's flying away, and they're all sad about it, obviously, and they're all like doing the emotional thing. And I was waiting for the Superman line because I knew it was coming. I knew it's the thing. And but they hit me with that line that the kid says with the
you are who you choose to be.
you are who you choose to be, and I think that sent me into crying overdrive.
Oh, it's so good.
Then he's my god, it's so
I'm getting
so
choked up
poignant.
now.
Yeah. It's
Not
so
even
strong because they really like they really hit you with it, because even before he flies and he says, I go, you stay, which is what the Hogarth told him, like, in a very, like, innocent, like, we're just stay in the force, like, I'll be back. But then he says no following, and then oh my god, it leads up to that final moment so well. Like, you get so much like adoration for the giant, because he's, like Hogarth says, he's like a little kid, like, he doesn't remember anything, he doesn't know speech, and his speech gets better, so you grow to also be like love the giant. And then this movie is so good.
Oh. So in Ted Lasso,
Please make this a better cut.
No, keep it. It's too good.
there's a moment where they're at the team hotel and they like throw on a movie to watch, and they're watching Iron Giant.
Oh, huh.
And Ted has to leave, but he tells Coach Beard, like, just get the tissues ready for around the 75-minute mark, because there's going to be a room full of crying men.
Yeah.
And I pulled it up on my phone, and that's the 75-minute mark.
Oh wow!
So it's directly when the
man.
giant is telling Hogarth
is touching Hogarth's cheek with his giant finger.
Yeah, and is saying, you stay, I leave.
go.
Yeah, I go, you stay. It's exactly at that mark. So good.
Great
good
job,
call
Ted
by
Lasso
Ted
writers.
Yeah. See, it was related.
Yeah. So I was also thinking, so like Lion King came out when I was 5. I watched Lion King from the years 1995 to 2000 probably about 1,400 times.
Yep.
And I, for the most part, I remember specifically fast forwarding through Mufasa's death every time. Like, I just couldn't, like, as a child, I couldn't, I just couldn't deal with it. Having recently at that point gone through, especially afterwards, having gone through my grandfather's death, it probably hit me a lot more then. Like, we don't have to go into it at the time, but like, I think that probably was a big portion of what was hitting me at that moment as a child.
Yeah.
I know this movie came out when I was 9. I think if I watched this movie when I was 9, I think I would have been on board. I don't think I would have cried or anything, but I think I would have like watched it and been like, that's a good movie, you know, or something. But like, I'm trying to think if I was 6 watching this movie, if I could watch the ending of this movie more. Like, I think I would have walked out of the movie theater. Maybe with the stinger, it would have been fine. Because we find out that the robot's actually still alive, and because the robot's program, or the giant, I keep calling the robot, the Iron Giant is programmed to
fix itself
and like beacon all of its stuff back, which has the nice cool thing where Hogarth knows that the Iron Giant's alive because he has the final part, the only part that they found, and it starts beeping and leaving. So Hogarth says goodbye, but I think Hogarth says goodbye in a tone of like you're gonna fix it, and hopefully you're gonna
see you later.
Yeah, like you're gonna see and come back to me, and rightfully like lets him out the window so he can go back. And seemingly a lot of his other parts have luckily landed in the same place, or have at least started trekking like freely over there. But I think it would have been tough for me as a child to get through the ending of that movie. Like
it was rough.
As long as you understand the stakes, like I was talking about before, like I think I can't imagine, like, so that's the thing, is like I was trying to think of who this movie is for specifically, because obviously adults, it's fine, like it's or like fine in the sense of like it's not going to emotionally scar you. You understand, like at that point, like you can enjoy the movie in its fullest, having been an adult that understands what's going on. If you're like in your teens, you're probably fine. Maybe you're a little too like, oh, this movie's for kids, you know, like, but like I struggle to wonder where from like the age of like, let's say like 4 to 5, where comprehension of movies like really, really strongly comes in, where you're not just like walking around quoting it and not knowing really what's going on, to like having full comprehension of what life and death is with that. So like I almost just want to ask somebody who saw it when they were like,
I did.
5.
I was 4 when this came out, and I think I watched it year of.
Okay. Do you have memories of that though?
I don't have very clear memories of watching it for the first time.
So that's more what I was getting at. It was more
who's
like
going to remember when they were?
No. I mean, like putting it in front of like a 6-year-old now. I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just curious about like how that lands for.
Yeah. I would be curious.
Yeah, definitely. I remember it having a very emotional effect on me because I cried for everything. That one hit. Trying to think of other movies around the same era that also hit, because I don't even the fact that it was the ending makes it hit more, because like The Lion King hit, but like at least the death happens in the beginning of the movie. But when things like that happen at the very end, they hit way harder to a kid, I think. I mean, probably to adults too, but. And
I guess it has to have that stinger for kids to not be completely bereft at the end.
There's.
But I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. It's just me being a glutton for punishment. But it's like, I kind of wish it didn't have that ending.
So I said to her that, like, if you're going to have that ending, I almost wish that you had a sequel. And then she's like, well, a sequel would ruin everything. You know,
it's a very self-contained movie.
I do agree.
Yeah.
But it does make me just, I was like, maybe do another stinger of a Hoagie reunion, you know, where they just high five.
Like a short movie. Yeah, like a short. I thought it'd be interesting to maybe have like a short film in like modern times. Like 100 years later or whatever.
100 years later.
Yeah, just modern times.
Shut up. What I was gonna say, if you're not gonna have the final scene of him putting himself together, though, then you can't have the scene of him putting himself together earlier, like with his hand, like after the train incident, because it leads up to that being the end, that he doesn't die, that he can put himself together. So you would have to take that out.
And perhaps can't die ever.
Yeah, it's fair.
Is potentially indestructible.
Yeah.
So
which is another problem with the you die, yes, I die. I don't, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that, and I know in other media where they've talked about that with both longer lifespan, you know, organic life, or, you know, synthetic life that theoretically lives perpetually, or you know, indefinitely at the very least.
Well, you talked about Mass Effect before.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, because humans live so short, so we're always in a hurry.
Yep. Yeah. And I told her one of my favorite lines of all time is the Krogan who lived like 500 years to the Asari who lives 1,000 years, and a Krogan's trying to date an Asari, and the Asari has a comment, and so they're like, "Oh, if it was a human or Solarian, I'd just like leg it out because who cares, like just piss away 100 years." But like Krogan's a real commitment, and then like you're saying it to your human character, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and they're like, "I get it," like, and then they tell like the Asari get to play with like, "Oh, I'm only 100 years old, I'm just a kid,"
Yep.
It's interesting, and like there's obvious. It's the same thing with. It's not as existential dready as like Toy Story is.
Sure.
Where like the toys, unless you have a friend to give your toys to, you're just perpetually like lost to time, and like you think about all the toys everywhere. Like it's quickly unravels. Like I'm sure I drove my parents insane when I was a child, just being like, "What about all the toys that are in the junkyard?" It's like, don't worry about that, sweetie. Like, just move on. Like, what about all the toys that were burned, like Velveteen Rabbit? Don't worry about that.
You can't think about that.
Yep.
Keep going.
Just keep it going.
Oh, that does remind me what we were talking about earlier with like robots and AI and stuff. It's like if it can feel, or like what's important is like if it think it feels. That I feel like I can suspend my disbelief for that for movies, because like in movies like The Iron Giant and stuff, it's like they're artificial, or because I think they never really go into his backstory, but it looks like he was created as an army of like Iron Giants to like go to other planets to destroy them. Super unclear. They never go into it. That's just what it looks like in that very quick flashback, because there's a bunch of them marching down. But I feel like in lots of different media, when there is like an AI or something that has feelings, I'm like, yeah, it has feelings. We have to treat them exactly the same as anything else. But when it comes to like real life discussion, I'm like, no, like it's an AI. Like it was programmed to have feelings, but it doesn't actually have feelings. Because there was a case that recently showed up with that one guy that got like fired from like Harvard or something, because he claimed that he created an AI that started to actually have feelings, because it started to have like conversations with him about like being like a 6-year-old girl, and like she had like the capability to lie and stuff like that. But it's like, well, you programmed her to say these things.
Right,
like you can program an AI to react in a certain way to conversations. Like they have a bank of things, and as you talk to it, it can learn to say different things, but it doesn't have actual feelings. It can't actually lie to you. So it's like, in movies and stuff, I'm way more sympathetic to robots and AI and stuff like that. It's like, no, you can't hurt it. Like the Iron Giant, like it's artificial, like, but he has actual feelings, and he has the capability to love and to protect. But if something like that happened in real life, I'd be like, I don't trust that shit. It's not real.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So where is it? You think he's from a planet of other Iron Giants, or just kind of?
When that flashback started, I thought that was just like his home planet, but then they were like, they literally said like he came to Earth to destroy Earth. Like, and then I'm like, oh,
they think.
Yeah.
There's no actual backstory. It's just that 2-second like him remembering some memory, and it's that marching, but we don't know if it is like. It seems like it's different robots that get sent to different places to destroy.
More of an Invader Zim type situation.
Yeah. But he forgets his memory when he gets thrown into the wires. And like the chip in his head and stuff like that. Or not the chip, the dent. But then he like learns to be sympathetic and stuff like that after he's lost his memory. And then even when he regained his memory, after Hogarth dies, and he goes into like war missile mode.
Yep.
So we don't know where those other robots are. Some other planet getting destroyed because they didn't have a moment like this.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know the actual backstory, but that's what it looks like. It looks like he is one of many robots that were created.
So that's your sequel, right? The other robots catch wind that he's gone. He's gone native, and so So it's Terminator 2.
Oh, thank you. I was like, I know this plot. What's this plot?
It's also
Terminator 2.
I was going insane. I was like, yeah, we're building towards this joke that we both know. And I can't.
It's also Dragon Ball Z.
Yep. It is Dragon Ball Z as well.
Loses his tail,
Yep.
and the Saiyans are like, "What the fuck are you doing, Kakarot?" And he's like,
"Hey,
"Kakarot,
what's up, Kakarot? Time to blow up Earth." What?
And then Vegeta stays, and he becomes the best character.
Krillin.
All right. Well, hey. Any final thoughts on Iron Giant? I'm glad we went into AI and the, to get all first freshman year philosophy major, and well he thinks therefore he is, and it's good shit. Good movie.
Yeah, surprisingly deep for a movie that is it. I would have to assume it's probably the deepest movie from that era, at least for a kids animation, like a
so many.
Clearly directed at kids animation movie. I would say like that, maybe Land Before Time was like similar. Like,
I'd have to take a look at like a list.
Yeah,
I'd have to see. I know there's a many because they try to put a lot of those poignant stories like that for kids. But
Lion King, I'm a little wary. Just because it's more like, I mean, it's Hamlet, so there's that, and then
I don't consider Lion King that. It's a good movie,
It's a
but I
good
don't consider
movie.
it deep.
No. It's like the same thing. It's like the Bambi thing of like, well, if you kill something at the beginning, does that make it sad? Versus like Land Before Time does that, but like his entire existence is basically like trying to, figure out himself through that. Like, but I don't know. I'm gonna stamp it because Iron Giant seems by far off the top of my head the most like actually like emotionally charged movie for kids, and it's interesting watching it as like someone in their 30s because like it obviously got me really hard, and then it's wondering like the frustration that a lot of people probably felt being a kid and this not being a very popular movie. So like there's probably were a lot of kids in my like end of my elementary school, early middle school that were really, really affected by this movie and had no one to talk about it with. Like I'm sure there were times I was on the playground and someone was trying to talk to me about Iron Giant, but I was a 10-year-old with crippling ADD that was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna keep hitting the ground with a stick.
Gotta. If I don't hit this ground with a stick.
If you don't put something else in my hand, I might die.
Yeah.
Yeah, watching this movie as like an adult with like a better understanding of history, because when I was younger, it was just a sad movie with a really cool giant robot. But like actually putting it in the context of the Cold War, like it hits differently.
Especially with like today's political climate too. Like back then, like you're talking like late 90s, like pre-September. It's close to September 11th, but it's still pre-September 11th. So like government problems are like the Clinton scandal, and like taxes. Like we're not in a war at that time. Like it's a lot different. So you had a lot of kids that hadn't been through that because like kids that were watching that didn't remember Desert Storm. They weren't alive for it. They hadn't been in they were 2 or 3 years away from their next war. So like, or their first war. Yeah, but it's crazy.
Let's do some ratings. So every week we'll do ratings at the end on a scale of 0.5 to 5 on any scale of your choosing besides stars. And I will put our results on our Letterboxd. That's Late to the Movies on Letterboxd. That's the number 2. You can, either you got one ready to go?
I do.
Okay.
5 squirrels in pants.
This
movie.
Squirrels and pants.
This movie is a masterpiece, especially for animation. There's nothing about it being animated that detracts it from being a masterpiece, because I know some people are like, oh, it can't be that good because it's animated. No. Watch this movie and cry about it.
Cry about it.
So the thing I think about is every time I watch a movie for this podcast, like I know the point of the podcast is to watch movies that are culturally relevant, and culturally relevant movies tend to be very good, or else they wouldn't be relevant. So I feel weird like giving just 5s to everything.
Well, I mean, like we've done Titanic, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, that's the problem. And like, I was trying to think of movie, like I think it was Mean Girls 2 and Draft Day. I think are the only 2 movies. Oh no, I think I gave
Groundhog's Day. I gave like a 2 or something.
Yeah, I really like Groundhog Day.
Like it's like Attorneys General Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog's Day. I might have given Addams Family Values on like a 4. I don't remember, but yeah,
yeah.
I think it deserves a 5, and because I can't do Christopher McDonald's delivery on that joke. I'm just gonna say 5 hog hugs out of 5.
Dig it. Yeah. I was gonna go 5 half-eaten cars out of 5. Just to reference that.
It's a
part.
really good drawing too. Like
Yep.
they get
It is.
they do a really good job. You knowing that car's like, I love the tractor reveal of like, oh, this tractor's just got a big bite out of it.
Like, yeah, that's why I'm selling this guy.
Yeah,
Big bite.
it's got a big bite out of it.
Yeah, so this is right up there with The Lighthouse in terms of main movies for me.
Yep.
Very similar.
Lighthouse.
Yeah, great kids movies.
Yep.
Anyway, jokes aside, great film. Glad to finally check it off the list.
Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't know you hadn't seen it either. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And you
Now
know
I
how we
know.
have to end the movie.
I
Or the
do, but we're
podcast.
not quite there yet.
Oh, true.
That happened on the Mean Girls episode where I just didn't do the ending spiel because
Sorry,
we
'cause you're
ended
so
it too
excited.
early.
I get so excited to the bit.
Yeah, I'm so excited to do. Yeah. So you can. I was gonna say so. There was something else, but fuck it, we're fine. We didn't need it. Was it going to be important? Probably not. You can find us on Letterboxd for all our reviews. You can listen to us on Google Podcasts, Podbeans, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, not Apple Music. We're not there. Just Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you get your podcasts, you can probably find us. We have a TeePublic store just in time for the holidays. You can buy a shirt with Greg's face on it.
Nice.
Wear it to your Thanksgiving, Hanukkah's,
Or to your Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings watch parties. Yeah, it's perfect for any occasion, any season, but especially this one. So buy 7 to 8 now. Have one for every day and 2 on Sundays.
I'm realizing that we didn't introduce ourselves.
Oh shit, we never did that part.
Do you want to get it clean and just
No.
try to stuff it?
They know your laugh.
That's true. Everyone immediately knows who it is.
Well, I was, it's like we like have a reveal for the name of it, but it's also in the description. You can email Noah at late2themovies@gmail.com. You can look at our Instagram at late2themovies_podcast. We put up a fun poster every week. The one we did for Hocus Pocus is one I'm very proud of.
Oh, that one was really good.
Thank you.
That one was really good. I
Very
love
proud
them
of that
all,
one.
but man, that one really got me.
Yeah, that one I was happy with how that one came out. Your guests left to right across your podcast dial this week were Bree,
Hello.
and Sam,
Hey.
and goodbye. All right, I think that's basically it. So yeah, I didn't want to count us in. Just obligatory now.
Dun, 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 dun. Iron Giant.
I'm sad Voz wasn't here.
I'm sad too.
He would have loved.
You would have
this.
loved this. Rest in peace, Mike Voss. Never recovered from that COVID boost.
Wait, what's that? And then, like in this corner, you see a scarf
Oh, you
trying to
see
get out the window. It's like,
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
God still like some scarves.
It's like a scarf watching Petite Mama.
Yeah.
Just always has to be referenced now.
Yep.
How does this movie fit in the Maverse?
And cut.
Oh man, that's probably our most insular joke yet.